All right, welcome to Out of the Rut SmackDown. If you're ready to fight and ready to battle, you're in the right place. In one corner, we have the self-proclaimed Horchata King of Chicago. It's X. Ready to fight, ready to rock and roll. Facing off with X in his corner, we have Captain McThickums, a.k.a. Ronnie Kaufman. Silence. And as a guest host, he puts the bangin' Banghart. It's Joey Banghart.
Bang, bang.
All right, now those wrestlers are going to be facing off against the queen of the ring. She puts the friend in frenzy. It's Betty Frenzy. And we're on. Welcome back to Out of the Rut. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, I appreciate you humoring my super fun intro. Like I said, I'm X.
And I'm Ron. And I'm Joey.
Yeah, we have Joey sitting in for our boy Billy today because Billy unfortunately had to be at his big boy job once again. So we have Joey here for the sake of friendship, and we have Betty Frenzy. So we got Betty Frenzy on the call to talk about the world of pro wrestling, wrestle managing, the difference between the two, in the hopes that if you're listening to this and you want to get into the world of pro wrestling, here's your barrier to entry right here.
Oh God, I don't want that much. I am not the gatekeeper for the wrestling world.
No, but I mean,
I will say,
go ahead.
let me just preface this entire talk with, I am green as one of my coaches says, goose shit. So in terms of wrestling, like, I've got a really good understanding, and I was trained by some of the best trainers in the country. And I'm not just saying that because they were my trainers. They're like one of the top tiers, right? So I have a good perspective on this. But when it comes to like actual answers on like how to do this, like, find somebody who's done it longer than me. So anybody listening right now, I am not your go-to person, but I feel like I've got a good understanding and a good perspective for anybody who is new wanting to like cultivate it, you know?
But I feel like that's a good perspective to have, because like sometimes I feel like I listen to podcasts or like interviews from people who've been in these industries for decades and years, and it's like you hear their perspective, and they give a lot of the advice they give is like at such a high level to where it's like, okay, it's like it's so high that it's almost not applicable to where like a starter or a beginner would be at. And seeing as how you consider yourself on the greener than goose shit side of things, like, that's actually probably more helpful, honestly, than someone who's like at a super high level and is so far removed from the beginnings of their journey,
Totally. And so let's just get into like how I got into this, because I did not grow up watching wrestling. I was vaguely aware of, certain wrestlers that crossed over into the mainstream, but it wasn't something that like captured my attention, just because like aesthetically, like whatever it was that the WWF and WWE were presenting at the time I was growing up, it just wasn't something we watched at home. And so I didn't actually get into it until like 2021, when my boyfriend was like, hey, there's a pay-per-view coming up with this company, AEW, and they're showing it at the movie theater. Do you want to go watch it with me? It's kind of a big deal. And I was like, sure, let's do it. And after that, I was like, this is different than I've ever seen before. This is not what I thought wrestling was. Like, what they were doing over there was so much more like, there was a lot more variation of body type and character type and like some storytelling, but then also some like big boy grappling and like flips over here and like hardcore over here.
That's actually how Ron and I start every podcast. Before we start recording, we do some big boy grappling here in my little makeshift studio.
Get a little blood flowing before starting.
It really hypes us up for the pod, some big boy grappling.
It's great. And I love it. And I like, since getting into it, so like that was like the gateway, right? Like this one show sort of opened my eyes to like what wrestling could be, not just what I previously knew it kind of as. But then it was like, okay, now I got to watch all of it. I got to watch Japanese wrestling. I got to watch lucha. I got to watch WWE. I got to go back in the history and watch some of like these iconic matches. So we were just gobbling this up. And like my boyfriend, he's also a wrestler. His name is Cutthroat Clay Campbell.
Dude, that's an awesome name.
Top
tier name.
Yeah.
Top tier name.
Yeah. And top tier wrestler. Like not enough people know it yet, but he will be up at the top very soon.
Hey, we're rooting for him.
And so we started training at the same time because we were watching this and he was like helping me kind of understand the history of wrestling and showing me like the people I need to be watching. And I was like lamenting like that we didn't get into training right out of college because we went to college for theater and for stage combat. So we're like trained to do violent storytelling. And we're watching this on TV and we're like, that we totally could have parlayed the violent storytelling of theater and film into wrestling super easy. And right out of college would have been a perfect time to do it. You get some of that, that baseline training of how to be a person in the world and how to do the storytelling right into wrestling, which is a whole other beast in terms of training. And I thought it was too late. And he was like, it's not too late. Like, wait, you're right. It's not too late.
Dude, it's never too late.
It's never too late. And I'm looking at people like Diamond Dallas Page, DDP. He didn't start training until 35. And I'm looking at Sting at the time he was still active. And he was like jumping off of balconies and he was 63 years old. Oh, dude, I'm looking at people
that's
like
the dream. At least my dream.
Sting's one of the top. I mean, he retired technically, but he's incredible. Definitely one of my favorites. So I'm looking at those two. I'm looking at people like Serena Deeb, who like her style of wrestling is very grounded. She's known as the woman of 1,000 holds, which is kind of where I kind of cribbed off of her name a little bit for my own moniker, just as a homage.
Love it.
Right. And I love watching her because she's on she's older in terms of like female wrestlers. She's been doing this for a long time, but she's not jumping off the top rope. She's not taking these crazy bumps in the ring. She's not like getting thrown around. She's tying people up into holds and making them like tap out. And I was like, okay, my 36-year-old bones and joints could probably do something like that. Not have to do the super athletic part, but do a little bit more of like that clinical, technical side of things, right?
Still very physical too.
Oh, absolutely. So we were talking about this and he was like, yeah, we don't, it's not too late. I was like, you're right. It's not too late. Let's do it. And so we did it. We decided that fuck it. It's, this is post-pandemic. So we were, or I guess technically the pandemic's still happening, but this is after the big, the biggest
what we claim to
it.
be the hardship of the pandemic or the heart of the pandemic, rather.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the theater world at that point and still, got gutted. And so a lot of the momentum we were making as actors was just shot.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people don't realize that, but the live theater world did not recover the same, even a fraction of the same way that a lot of other industries did. And it's because arts didn't get bailed out by the government, man. Like we bailed out so many businesses, but the arts world was kind of just like, okay, cool. I guess you guys will figure it out.
Yep. And then the bigger theaters too. And even like TV and film, you see this too in voiceovers. You get a lot of companies that are scared to take a risk on newer talent. So they're going to go with industry professionals who have already made a claim. So those of us that are still trying to like break in don't stand a chance nowadays. Like it's so much harder to like break in. And so that was part of it too. We were like, we're at this point where we kind of have some freedom to, this is when most people decide to go and get a master's degree in, to continue their education or to switch education. And we're like, you know what, instead of getting a master's degree, how about we go get wrestling training?
A lot more affordable.
A lot more fun too.
It is. It's a lot. I will say it is more affordable as long as you have good health insurance.
Sure. Yeah, good point.
It will. You know what? I'm going to be all over the place with. So at any point, if you want to like ask a specific question, please do. But I've got like, you can see here, if this was a video podcast, you'd be seeing all of my notes that I was like, I need to make sure I talked about this.
All this means is that next time when we start adding video to the equation, we got to bring you back. That's all that means.
I would love to.
Maybe do like a little wrestling event.
Oh, dude. Oh, my God. Little Out of the Rut WrestleMania vibes featuring Betty Frenzy. Dude, that'd be fucking lit.
Yeah.
SmackDown versus Raw.
Honestly, it'd be a dream. Honestly, I want to participate just for the sheer fun of it. I've always wanted to do like a pro wrestling event. Joey knows this.
Oh,
and so does Ron too.
Yeah.
Like, Tori, I don't know if Betty, I don't know if I told you, but where, you know, the place where we used to work, I was at one of the suburbs clubs, and I was trying to pitch this idea for the summertime because it was always slow at the club, and people were like, oh, we need to find ways to get people in. And I was like, yo, we should do like a pro wrestling event in our parking lot because that would drive some people
100%.
And I had it all mapped out. I had the pricing. I spoke with a guy here locally who does like Chicago Chicago Pro Wrestling, I believe is the name of his business. Chatted with him.
Okay.
His name is Steve Balls. Chatted with him about pricing and stuff, had it all worked out, and like literally had this super professional write up, and like it got vetoed so quickly. And I was just like, oh, cool, we hate fun. Cool, we hate fun. Got it.
I would say don't give up. If you're still there, are you still there?
Kind of. I'm there like 2 days a week, and I only teach fitness.
Oh, okay.
Now, so I'm
all right.
kind of there.
Oh, okay.
But Joey and
still.
Ron are still pretty baked into the culture there at the moment.
Yep.
Look, I would say don't give up, because again, like the wrestling really is having a renaissance right now, and you can, there are companies popping up all over. There's also companies that are like that have been running for decades, and that are like staples in a community. And it's just, this was the other thing too, is that like growing up, this would have been so up my alley, and in college especially, like I am like floored that I did not have as much of an awareness about this at the time, because it was totally in my wheelhouse that I was like, how did nobody else tell me about this until Luke did? Like, what's happening
Honestly,
here?
it's so funny because I feel the exact same way. Like I didn't grow up on WrestleMania or anything like that, but like I have a personality type that I feel like people often associate. They're like, oh, you were probably into that weird pro wrestling shit, jumping off couches, body slamming. And it's like, strangely I was, but like I just didn't really watch like WrestleMania or shit like that. But then I had kind of a moment like you did coming out of COVID, being like, you know what, like what's something really cool that's like theatrical but engaging and physical, because I have a circus background also. And I was like, I started going down the pro wrestling rabbit hole, and I was like, holy shit, I've been sleeping on this bad boy for way too long. Because it is really fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I grew up on that, like, wrestling, and like me and my siblings, we had the games.
You talked about in a previous episode your like makeshift jackass videos of you just punching people in fucking alleys.
Yeah, throwing them in bushes off roofs and shit. Like, we'd have a pool in the backyard, and we would like Batista bomb us like from the garage to the pool.
Dude,
my God.
Yeah.
Ron, that's the most redneck shit I've ever heard. But honestly, nothing but respect for it.
Yeah, dude, it was a good time, dude. And like, it was so funny because like my sister hated like when it was just me and her at the house, because if my brother wasn't there, you're wrestling, right? Like, you are my brother now. So you are getting stunnered, right? You are getting like, you're getting Batista bombed off this dresser onto the ground. I don't care. Like,
that's how we solve
it. Yeah, exactly. Like, we are wrestling.
You know what's super funny? Me and my sister had a similar way of solving disputes. Like, my sister's 2 years older than me, and I was a little dancer boy, but my sister was like an athlete. She played like softball, volleyball. She played all the sports and blah blah blah. And I was just a little skinny dancer boy. But we'd get in fights, and whenever we'd get in arguments, like my parents had this thing where it was like, okay, cool, if you're mad at each other, let's move the furniture out of the way. And we were like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, if you're not mad enough to beat the shit out of each other, then you're not really mad.
Right.
So that like it became like how me and my sister solved problems was just like beating the shit out of each other. But because she was an athlete and I was a skinny dancer boy, she would mop the fucking floor with your boy, dude. Your boy was like getting pinned left and right. Like, she had this signature move, and she's going to hate that I'm telling you guys this, but Morgan, if you're listening, this is a call out to you. She had this signature move that she would do, and she'll deny it, where she would like pin me down, right? Like she'll have me freaking locked up. She's on top of me. She's like, we're beating the shit out of each other. And my mom was like obsessed with like coffee flavored things. So she'd have these coffee beans on this filing cabinet. And whenever she'd have me pinned down, she would be like, okay, Dad, give me the coffee beans. Give me the coffee beans. And he'd be like, oh shit, here are the coffee beans. Here are the coffee beans. And she would chew them and she would spit them in my face. And that was like her signature move, dude. Wow. She doesn't seem to remember this. I brought this up to her so many times because it is like a very, very key point memory in my childhood. She was like, I didn't do that. I'm like, yo, you did like almost every time. Right. Every time there was coffee beans in the house and we were fighting, I was getting coffee beans to the cornea. Like I just was. That was your move. And my parents perpetuated that. My parents were like, hell yeah, get him. All right. And then I turned 16 and grew 3 feet, and all of a sudden my sister couldn't beat me anymore because she's super short. But shout out to sibling violence.
Dude, the first violence is the only way to grow up. Dude. Like we used to do that too. Like outside of wrestling, we used to like set up in our front yard, and we had like the WWE Championship belts, like that over there. We had like the World Heavyweight WWE Championship, and like we'd have this like thing like every week we'd all meet up and we'd get in the front lawn and we'd wrestle for these belts, right? So it's like, okay, you're the winner this week. Well, let's see who wins next. Like it was super dope. Like,
Joey, do you have siblings, Joey?
Yeah, I got 2 older brothers.
Oh, 2 older brothers. So I'm gonna assume Joey Banghart got the shit banged out of him many times.
Absolutely, I was around the litter of the 3. So the oldest one's about 9 years old, the other one's about 4.5.
Oh, so not even a competition.
Not even a competition. Yeah, no one was there to help me, so I always had to find my way around it. But yeah, no, I actually had a buddy back in the day that I used to wrestle around with in the family room, and we used to do like tombstones and the cane chokehold and slam. So that you can't beat that. But growing up on that, and also doing like playing the video game on Super Nintendo.
Oh, dude,
WWF. That was the original with all the best. You got,
and of course you're watching it, and you're like, okay, cool, we're gonna do that. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Man,
but you learn a lot from it, though.
Yeah, who's everyone's favorite wrestler when you were a kid?
I didn't watch pro wrestling growing up, so I really only know like I only know like a couple. Like I know the big ones. Like I know John Cena. I know that honestly might be the only one I actually know, really.
Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, like Randy Orton.
I know of these people, but I can't say I could pick them out of the lineup. Okay. I'm what they call uncultured swine, Ron. Well, then, all right, we'll send question for. We'll start with Betty Frenzy. Who do you have a favorite wrestler?
Oh God, I do. Here's my problem is that I do like it oscillates, right? Like I've got a different favorite wrestler for different things.
I mean, I would hope you would shoot your shot.
Right. I would say like the ones that I'm looking at right now. So I'm going to take this from like the lens of a manager. So like and as a manager, like I've got favorite managers, but I've also got like favorite wrestlers who have also done like manager roles. Right. So top tier professional wrestling managers, I would say Bobby Heenan and Sensational Sherry. They were back more in like the 80s, right? Yeah. And they're just like top tier. Ones that are currently active right now, Stokely Hathaway on AEW is doing some really fun stuff with, he's managing FTR, which is a tag team. And that's something that I'm a manager right now for a tag team called the Upper Class. So being a manager for a tag team is a little bit different than being a manager for like a singles wrestler or for like a whole faction. So there's like different things that you're going to need to do. So Stokely is like really fun to watch right now. And I also really love watching Taya Valkyrie. She is a wrestler, but when her husband, Johnny TV, is wrestling, she's often cornering him. And she is so animated and so involved and like in the corner that she is just as much a part of this match as anybody else. And it's not just like, oh, I'm standing there cheering for my man. It's no, I'm getting the crowd involved. I'm jaw-jacking with the ref and with the opponents, and I'm hyping up my man. Like there's just so much that she's doing, and she does it so big that it's just like anytime she's on screen, I'm watching her.
Also, did you just say the term jaw-jacking?
Yes.
I've never heard of that term. I love that.
Really?
I'm gonna lock in that in my own personal vernacular.
You've never heard that before?
I've never heard of jaw jacking.
Really?
No.
That's been like a thing.
God, I'm clearly 2000 and late to the party on that.
2000 and late, yeah.
All right, so let's get into the good stuff. A question I always like to start off with, and I'm sure the listeners are annoyed with me explaining. You talked a little bit about the rut you've been in that kind of led you into the pro wrestling world, but like, can you talk a little bit about maybe some other ruts that you've had in the past and maybe the steps you've taken to get out of those ruts?
Oh, yeah. I would say that a lot of my trajectory is a series of ruts. And I'm sure, like, I know some of your other guests have sort of talked about the same thing, but it's like, you start to make a little bit of progress in one trajectory, and then either like I get distracted by something else. I'm like, ooh, I want to start pursuing that. Or my biggest problem with getting in ruts is that I will feel like I'm treading water, or I'll feel like I'm on this like hamster wheel to nowhere. And it's just a lot of work and a lot of grind with no progress, no sort of like, I'm not learning anything new. I'm just doing the same old shit, hoping that somebody notices and gives me a job. Right. And that's so frustrating to be in. And so that's kind of where, so like theater and acting has been like the number one focus for the longest time. It's what I went to college for. It's like the thing that I thought I was going to be doing, but auditioning for things and submitting to audition for things and then putting all this work into self-tapes and whatever else you got to do to get the acting job to then like not even hear back. It's just a whole lot of work, and and I'm not opposed to hard work. Let me be super clear about that. Like, it's not that I don't want to do a grind, but there's got to be something that I can take from it to get to the next thing. There's got to be something that I can take from it that feels fulfilling to me. And when it's just like you're grinding and grinding and grinding and not going anywhere, that's like the worst rut I can think of. So I was like getting to that point. And luckily for me, because of my stage combat training and some of the friends that I made in college, we created our own theater company called American Maniacs Unlimited. Shout out to the
Badass name.
That is a really
Great
cool
name.
name, actually. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much. We're very proud of it. We still technically exist in a group thread. We haven't done anything since 2020. Or no, technically 2021. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're all in different parts of the country now, so it exists in our hearts, and maybe someday we'll bring things back. But we were a combat comedy group, so we would do sketch comedy, and it would all be swords and fisticuffs and just absurd violence. We were like if American Maniacs, no, Animaniacs meets Monty Python meets Mel Brooks.
All three of those
Kind
are
of in
fucking
one.
amazing. I love all hilarious.
Right. And that was our jam. And what was nice about that is that we could create our own stuff. We didn't have to wait on somebody else to hire us. We could just we could rent a space and do it.
Yeah.
Or we could submit to like a fringe festival, and like they're always looking for unique acts, right? And we were a unique act, and it was really great. But then, we were going to do Capitol Fringe in DC. We were going to do Elgin Fringe, which is like our home fringe festival. Me and my best friend Sherbs, shout out Sherbs. We were going to do we were going to do a 2-woman show at the Pittsburgh Fringe as the Caroling Burnett's. Shout out Carol Burnett. And that was all going to be in 2020. We were like looking at this like huge momentum, right, on the horizon. And then everything happened and everything was canceled. And we were like, oh no, what's going to happen? And we're sitting there, and like, luckily Elgin Fringe, that was later enough in the year that they were like, they switched to sort of an online version. So that year it was actually super beneficial for us, because instead of doing our normal live show, we transitioned into an online format where we filmed our own sketches sort of separately from each other. Some of them we were able to get together for, but we figured out creative ways of doing our comedy online and editing it together. And like, I learned a lot of editing with this too, because like we each edited our own sketches, but then everybody sent them to me and I like pieced them together into a single like 40-minute show.
Cool.
And there's something there. Yeah. I got so like into this because there's like certain things that you do with editing sound and visuals and even just like where you cut a scene and go to the next that can add comedy to the sketch itself. That has nothing to do with how it was written. It's just about the flow.
Yeah.
And so we're super proud of this project, right? And a lot of what I learned doing that, I am now using in wrestling, because we've got to film promos and we've got to film sketches that happen in between the wrestling shows in order to hype up and get people to come to the wrestling shows. So a lot of what I learned in 2020 for American Maniacs, I'm now using for my wrestling career.
Yeah, that's I mean, it sounds like you came from like pretty much the bottom and just worked through all that shit. Like, when you get to the moments where you feel defeated there, like what keeps you dedicated to keep on going, right? Because it sounds like you were like, okay, like you were saying, like, I'm not getting anything done. I'm working so many angles and I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. To now it's like, okay, now I feel like there's a path that we're on.
Because honestly, as a crew that has like, you know, been learning a lot as we go, like it's been tough for us, even with this project, to be like, okay, cool, we can do this. All right. That really sucked. But we hopefully will learn how to do it better the next time or whatever and do whatever research we have to. But yeah, what's your process for that?
Oh God, that's the age-old question, right? A lot of it is an internal drive, right? Like I am a creative person. It's not just theater. It's not just acting. It's not just wrestling now. It's anything that's sort of like a creative, artistic, something I can get my hands into and put out into the world and, you know, have somebody else react to it. Whatever the reaction is going to be, it's that call and response. I put something out and I hear something back. So there's, I guess, yeah, there's that internal drive that it's just like, if I'm not getting, and that's, I think what was so frustrating about being in the rut about theater and acting is that like you go into these audition rooms, you perform and they're like a stone wall. They're not going to react because that's not their job in the audition room. They're not there to be an audience. They're there to see, is this person good for the show? And if they're not, then cool, you're not getting anything out of it. How it's different in wrestling is a lot more like when you're doing like an apprenticeship, you know, you're not like submitting yourself to a job and then being told like yes or no. You're going in there and you are, you know, if you are trained, you're going to a show and you're saying, hey, can I help out? Can I help set up the ring? Can I help backstage? Can I, you know, run a camera? Can I do something for you? You know, and if you have any spots on the show, I would love to be included. And sometimes you'll be thrown into the show and you get to just like, you know, they'll take a chance on you and say, yeah, you're going to have a match or you're going to manage this guy and we're going to see what you do. So your audition is by doing and you get to prove yourself by doing. It's not just submitting. I get to show my stuff. Or on the flip side of it, like my audition is not some email to a promoter. That's part of it. But what I'm sending to the promoter is a promo that I cut that's showing what I can do with my face and with my voice and with my storytelling or with my editing. If I'm pulling clips from shows that I've done, I'm putting it together to show him like, so I get to create something to then get the next job. And I get to go out there. And if I'm giving an opportunity, then that promoter can be like, cool, you did a good job. You're a hard worker. You're cool to people in the locker room. We're going to give you another shot. We're going to put you on our next show. So like each job you get is essentially an audition for the next job. For the next show.
So it's a little bit, they're kind of like auditioning your personality and your work ethic versus just like, okay, cool, here's a 1 minute monologue, make or break, you
like,
know.
Here's a paper of like what you're about. It's more like, hey, who are you pretty much? And you come in and show what you got. Right.
Yeah. You're not going to sit in a room with a promoter and they're going to be like, okay, show me that you can do an arm drag. Show me that you can do a spear. Show me that you can run the ropes. They're not going to like hold an audition. They're going to, a lot of it is by word of mouth and reputation. So like a lot of these promotions that I've like made contact with, it's been because one of my trainers, Glenn Spector, while we were still training, he would bring us to shows he was booked on, and we would run ring crew. We would help them set up the ring. We would meet the promoter. We would meet everybody in the locker room. And it was up to us to take that very generous opportunity that Spector gave us, and then prove that we are worthy of his like stamp of approval, right? And show that we're good to go. So then by the time that we were trained, we had already made some like personal relationships with these folks, and then they're a little bit more inclined to give us a shot on their show live in front of a crowd. And if live in front of a crowd you can deliver, then that's just another step towards getting to do another show and do another spot. And you know, maybe next time you actually get to win the match, or next time you get to go for a title, and you get like bigger and better opportunities, the more that you can show up and nail the opportunity you get before.
Dude, really
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Like, how did you feel like when you did the first one and then you got that call back? Like, hey, we really like what you did here. Can you come do it here too? Or like maybe like, hey, come to this city. We're having another match.
It's I mean, it always feels great, right? Getting like knowing that you did the best job that you can do, and knowing that like, okay, I did what I set out to do. I think I did a good job. I think I connected with the crowd. I think I put over my guys in a really good way. And now they're going to move forward with another storyline. That's awesome. That shows me that like what I did translated to somebody else. It's kind of like what I was saying before about like, I want to create stuff and put it out into the world and then have feedback from somebody. I want a reaction from it. And so like from a crowd, that reaction might be one thing. They're responding to the story, whereas like the promoter is coming back and they're responding to the work ethic. And that's like what you've got to balance in wrestling too, is that you are producing something on one side of the curtain, and that's for the crowd, and that's for the story, and that's for the characters. But at the same time, you're producing something for behind the curtain, and that's for the people that you're working with or could be working with, who will say like, yeah, I want to work for them again. Or yeah, I want to bring you along to my next gig and see if maybe you can be my manager. I'm already booked on the show. They didn't book me to have a manager, but you're pretty cool and I like working with you. So I'm just going to like bring you along. And that's like huge. So there's sort of like this give and take too, of being able to like have other people validate what you know you can do. It's just really nice to be validated sometimes, you know?
Right. Now, is it like
we're all just trying to be validated.
We all want to be validated. We all want to feel like we mean something to somebody. So when it comes to like you being a manager, is it like the company that's running the wrestling, or is it or would it be the wrestlers that invite you to come and be their manager?
It is a little bit of both.
Okay.
So let me give like a brief overview of what a wrestling manager does. They're there as a supporting
That was my next
role.
question.
They're there as a supporting role, and sometimes like so it is a character in the show. Like I'm not backstage with a spreadsheet like planning shit out. Like there are producers on the show that work, and they are technically managing the show, right? But me as a wrestling manager, that is a character. But I do have a very real job in that I am there to support the wrestlers that I manage. I'm there to promote the company and the show that I'm booked on so that we can get people in to see the show. I'm also there to put over my opponents. So it's not just like, oh, I'm hyping up my guys. We also want to show that like we are going up against somebody who is worthwhile. So I'm there to hype up both my guys and those guys to get everybody hyped to see this show.
So,
and then also,
what you're
I'm
telling me
myself.
as a manager, you're a professional shit talker?
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah,
that's so
absolutely.
awesome. Oh, man, I slept on a great job. I could have done that, dude. I could have been a professional shit talker. That would have been amazing.
You
And like a double agent too at that point.
You'd be a great manager. Yeah.
I love
the thing is
talking
too,
shit.
like so the manager too can be like, it could be like different roles. So like sometimes a manager will be they are the wrestler's lawyer, or they are the wrestler's agent, or they're the wrestler's, like they'll pick like a role
Like a
that they're sort
character
of
type.
performing for that wrestler. So like recently I sort of did a revamp for the guys that I managed. So I managed Jay Bev and Oliver Gray. They are the tag team, the Upper Class. And for the first year that I was managing them, we were going for like an organized thing, right? Like I was there to sort of keep them on track. But that's not what they need, because they don't need to be like contained and on some sort of track. They need to be able to just do what they do best, and that's wrestle. Whereas my role is to be weaponized chaos. So I'm there to
Bringing the hype.
sort of be their extra little weapon. I'm there to bring the hype, right? But I'm also there if they need somebody to maybe bend the rules a little bit behind the ref's back. I can do that because I'm not inside the ring. I'm not the one that the ref is paying attention to, right? So, or if I need to distract the ref so that they can get away with something that's a little, suspicious, that's kind of what my role is too. It's before the show and after the show, it's a lot of shit talking. It's a lot of hyping people up. During the show, it is making sure that the match is executed the way that the match needs to be executed. However that means for the show and for the wrestlers involved.
Sick.
So, Betty, you said like in terms of preparing for a match, is there like a whole step-by-step that they have to take to get ready for the main event?
And what's your role in that?
Yeah, so it really does change wrestler by wrestler, because I've wrestled some other guys. So my training, I trained at the Iron City Wrestling Academy in Pittsburgh. My main coaches were Glenn Spector and Bobby Williams for the first month of my training. And then I got injured and decided I wanted to be a manager. So they brought in BC Steele. And so BC ended up being my like main manager, or my like manager coach, and taught me everything that I needed to know about wrestling. And so the ICWA is the training facility for IWC, which is short for International Wrestling Cartel. They are based out of Pittsburgh. They're one of like the longest
cartel.
running indies. Yeah.
Nice.
God, they run everything.
Sounds dangerous.
Top tier company. They're like they're the reason that me and Luke moved to Pittsburgh in order to go to wrestling. Like we chose that school specifically so that we could learn both wrestling and the business and the structure and how to get a job, how to put on a match, and how to be able to speak the language of wrestling. So like the biggest thing about wrestling is that you got to be trained so that you can go to any wrestler or any like wrestling company in the world and be put in a match with any wrestler at any level and be able to put on a good show that everybody leaves safe and sound, and everybody in the audience leaves happy and excited to come back to do, to watch another show. So in order to like do that, so as a wrestling manager, I'm getting to the point. I swear I didn't forget the question.
No worries.
It's cool. I did. No, just kidding.
So, I don't want to give away too much of like the secrets, right? Because like a lot of people are like, oh, I know, kayfabe is dead. Like people know that it's fake. And the truth is it's really not. It's not fake. They're actually doing this shit. And they're also, a lot of it, they're doing it on the fly. The story and the ending might be predetermined by the company, but how they get there is done in the moment a lot of the time.
And
so you got to be able.
Is real.
I was going to ask,
Right.
like how much freedom they have to like improvise in the ring.
This is where I'm tiptoeing back and forth between that curtain and how much I'm going to reveal. I'm not going to reveal anything is the thing.
No, and honestly, good. Keep the magic alive.
But
Yeah,
what I'll say is that if you are properly trained, you can have a match with anybody else who is properly trained, and you're going to put on a banger. And that's the goal. So then when I come into a company, whether I've worked with them before, if they're so like IWC is my home promotion. So that's where my loyalty is. Like, that's where my, where my priority is that company. They're the ones that brought me up. And so like, they're the ones that I'm focused on right now, especially in the beginning of my career. So we've got a relationship there in terms of like storytelling. And so like, I know the guys in that locker room and they know what I can do. So like when we're putting together a show, we know how I can be used to help my guys in their match and how to add something to the matches that are happening on that show. There's some other companies where I go in, they don't know me yet. They just know she's a manager. She's got some sparkle. Let's put her with this guy and we'll see what she can do. So that is a little bit more off the cuff. And that's a little bit more of me having to assert myself to those guys and be like, here's how I can help you. So sometimes it's somebody else being like, this is how you can help me. And sometimes it's me saying, this is how I can help you if they don't have ideas.
Got it.
Okay.
And you were, it sounds like you were a wrestler before you like transitioned to the wrestling manager, right?
Maybe dabbled.
Or like dabbled a little bit. Like how long were you in the ring for before you switched over?
For about a month. So I, and it was like the hardest month. So our training class, it started with 12 people. And by the third week, we were down to our core 5. And then like by the 6th week, I was outside the ring. Everybody else was still training inside while I was like standing back.
So a bunch of jabronis. A bunch of jabronis.
Is it like they just didn't make the cut or they just couldn't handle it?
They couldn't handle it. Like they made the cut.
Bunch of bitches, man.
They
bunch
tried
of
out.
wusses.
They tried out. I want to say yes, but also it is so much harder than you think it is.
Oh no, I'm totally being sarcastic. I'm totally being sarcastic.
Oh yeah. No, totally. However, dude, I'm serious. If you wanted to get into this, like, by all means, like, we could talk more, but you would be great at this.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Honestly, an endorsement from Betty Frenzy feels so fucking good, guys. Am I blushing? I'm so fucking psyched.
Tell your friends to hire me. I'm a great hype woman.
Honestly, so what we should do is, Betty, next time you're in town, the 3 of us, we should book a studio space and you could teach us some shit. We can record it and put it on the socials. Ron, Joey, and X getting their pro wrestler on, dude. Be fucking good, man.
That'd be wicked.
I'll teach you the best way to handle the microphone so that, you're heard, but you're not like overpowering everybody. Because that's really where my strength is.
Oh, you know what? We'll take it. We'll take any help we can get on that front for sure.
Yeah,
right.
How many?
No, what was I going to say? Yeah, so I trained to be a wrestler, and then we're going over shoulder tackles, and I took one that it blew out my shoulder blade in a really not fun way, and I could have just like done the rehab and fixed it, and then come back to wrestling and caught up to the rest of the class, but like it was this thing called scapular dyskinesis. And during the MRI, they also discovered that I had some like fraying in my rotator cuff. And I was like, so I could heal this injury, get back to the ring, and then I'm still not like, I still don't have the strength to then not get injured again. And also, like, as I was taking, as I was like healing, they brought in BC to sort of talk to me about managing and just to see like, is this something you'd be interested in? And after the first day of talking to BC, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do anyway. This is more of what drew me to wrestling in the first place. It's the character work and it's the support system. Like there's a term in comedy called the second banana. And that's the person who like sets up the guy who gets the laugh. And it's the person who's like there to make sure that there's a payoff to the comedy bit. And I've always and this is something that, I've always wanted to be and I hope that at the end of my wrestling career, I am known as the Carol Burnett of professional wrestling, because that's kind of how I want to approach managing. It's that, Carol Burnett is iconic and she's like legendary in and of herself. But what she did with her show was provide a platform and provide support for so many people in the industry. Like, I mean, actors, comedians, singers, dancers, like she provided a place for them to really shine. And that's what I want to do as a manager is I want to be iconic and of myself. I want people to recognize me and be like, hell yeah, I love Betty Frenzy, or I hate Betty Frenzy, but I love to hate her, you know?
Yeah. It's like you whether you're the good guy or the bad guy in the scenario, you want people to like engage with your character. It's not about liking or disliking.
100%. That's the whole point, is it's engagement. You want to draw people in. You want them to stay there. You don't want them checking their phone. You don't want them like, not wanting to stay in that hot under AC utilized gym. You want people to want to stay through to the end of the show so they see that main event and then they go, hell yeah, I want to come back again.
You want to see the dad with his kids on his knee being like, yeah, fuck Betty Frenzy, right? Yeah, we're going to do this when we get home. We're going to jump off top ropes and punch each other.
I've got beefs. I've got beefs with some people in the crowd, but they do come back. They come back every month and we continue that beef. And
they love the beef.
Great.
It's part of the entertainment.
They're carnivorous, bro. They want somebody to have beef, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you want to be engaged, right? But ultimately, my job there is to help the wrestlers be that for the crowd too, and to really highlight what the wrestlers can do. Because like some of these guys, they are incredible athletes, and they are so good at the competition, and they're even good. Like they've got a strong character, but maybe they're not used to talking. But I come from a theater background. I know how to talk. Sometimes I talk a little too much, and I gotta edit myself.
Heard that.
But I've got a skill that can help, say the things that maybe they can't. Or maybe it's a guy he can talk, but there's an allure to having somebody else talk for you.
Sure.
Right? Like you don't want to like him to say too much because it sort of takes away from the aggression or whatever it is.
Yeah, you want that like
sometimes you've got and sometimes it is just like you need somebody to like I'll take my guys for example. J-Bev and Oliver Gray they trained with me. Love those guys. I love those guys like to the moon and back, and they're incredible in the ring. But they're also good on the mic. Like they don't need me to talk for them, but what we can do as a team is bounce off of each other and have a rapport. So like it's not just about me talking for my wrestlers because I can, but I'm coming in there and I'm sort of like helping to tie everything up with a bow so that they can go off, they can be impassioned about this match. And then I come in and I tell the people when and where the match is. So they can go off and they can have the character experience. They can have the emotion, and I come in with the facts. Or we do the opposite. They're coming in with the facts, and I come in and I'm like, whipping everybody up into a, dare I say, a frenzy. Ooh. And get everybody involved.
Yeah.
You just got to see, like, it depends on who you're managing it. It depends on who your wrestler is, what the story is. Like, there's a lot of variety you can find. It's not just me going in, rah, rah, let's go, guys, Yeah. It's sort of like tailored to whoever it is.
This ain't no high school cheerleading routine, all right? This is real shit. Bodies are flying, okay? Sweaty bodies are dripping, okay?
Is that something that they have to like learn on their own, like the talking on the mic stuff, or is that also part of the training process, like with the wrestling?
It depends on the school you go to. So our school did put an emphasis on, and really any school with assault is going to be teaching you how to do promos and how to talk. Cause that's a huge part of it. You got to be able to talk for yourself. Cause if you don't have a manager, you got to be able to talk for yourself. Right. You need to be able to hype yourself up. And a lot of these companies rely on social media of their talent so that they can get engagement and get more people producing content that brings people in to see the show. Because, the companies themselves can only do so much. So you got to be able to promote yourself. So that is like, and that our trainers were really good about that. And it was actually, I think, I'm going to put myself over here. I think beneficial for me to switch into manager roles so quickly with our class that I was still there for all the training. They were in the ring learning all of the fundamentals and the moves itself. And I was outside of the ring learning all the other stuff. So we're all learning the same kind of structure. We're learning how to put together matches. We're learning how to connect with an audience and how to do all the same things. But on top of it, they're learning how to work with a manager, and they're learning how to utilize sort of this other role. Whereas a lot of wrestlers will go to like they'll wrestle for years on the indies and not really come across a manager and not know how to use one. So like they're kind of at a disadvantage. So then coming, some challenge that I gave myself about 4 or 5 months into our training, I was like, okay, every week I'm going to come in and cut a promo because I'm terrified of speaking on the fly. I'm terrified of like getting all, jumbled up in my words. I want to be able to get really good at this. So every week I'm going to cut a promo. And so that's sort of like, that lit a fire under everybody else to also start coming in. So we were just going to have like maybe 1 or 2 days that were about promos, but because I was there and that was like my main job to learn, everybody else was like, bet, I'm going to do it too.
Shit, I got to get
and
good
so
at this.
everybody in that class, right? Everybody in the class then was like stepping up their promo game. There's one week. It was so much fun. We were not just doing it in class, but we were filming promos outside and doing our own things and like submitting these videos to each other in the chat and just like calling each other out for the next week's class and really just like diving into what we would need to be doing out in the real world, in the professional world. And it's huge. You gotta be able to tell the story both inside and outside the ring.
Because I imagine at the end of the day too, like if you want to see people fighting, there's so many different avenues you can explore if you just want to see people fighting, but you want the theatrics, you want the drama, you want the entertainment element there. Yeah.
I think that's the coolest part about wrestling is like all the drama, the entertainment, like the excitement, the build up to all that, like the storyline. The storyline is like the coolest part.
Betty, what was the biggest challenge? What was the biggest challenge in managing an individual versus the partner setup? You said there was a difference in doing that. What was kind of like the main challenge with it?
That's a very good question. I guess there's just a lot more chaos you can do when there's multiple people, right? So when I'm managing my tag team, we can have one guy who's legal in the ring and he's handling the other, the opponent who's legal.
Like a tag team setup?
He needs to cut, in a tag team situation. And let's say J-Bev is in the middle and he needs to cut a corner because the guy he's up against is a little overpowered. Like Jay, gotta love him. He's compact. He's got a lot of energy, but he is short as hell and he knows it. But that is not a detriment to him. It is something that people underestimate then. So he can take advantage of somebody who's bigger because they're not expecting him to be better than them. He is,
he's
right?
swirly.
But there can be like a moment where he's like, fuck this, I need to like cut a corner here. So Betty is going to hop up on the apron. She's going to distract her ref. While she's distracting the ref, Oliver Gray is going to go around to the other opponent. He's going to take him away so that the guy in the ring can't tag out and can't get a break. So then because the guy can't tag out, J-Bev can take advantage of that and, cause some real damage, right? Like there's a lot more pieces that you can sort of like slot people into the more people you have. So like that's, if you've got a whole faction of people, like, it's all over for whoever's going up against. It's a schmoz. It's a lot of chaos. Whereas with a single wrestler, there's a little bit more focus, and so you are, and especially a manager, especially in a singles match, my job is to figure out both how I can assist my guy in the ring, but also how, like, it's about either throwing focus or pulling focus. So if something's happening if my guy needs help, he's like getting through it, like struggling and like trying to like, if I want to distract from a difficult moment, I can distract from that difficult moment and give my guy a break so that he can get back on top and get to doing what he needs to do. Or if I need to throw focus. So it's not about me anymore. It's about everybody needs to fucking look at what's about to happen, because this is the big moment. You gotta see this. Like, it's about finding that balance between throwing focus and pulling focus so that the audience is engaged, but they're seeing exactly what they need to see and not seeing what they shouldn't be seeing.
So managers are like a lot more involved in the matches than we actually realize they are. Like, you seem like you're really involved in it.
If they are used right, yes, they are. There's also something to said, less is more. There's sometimes that I'll go in and some of the guys will be like, we want to give you, a couple of spots to do. And I'm like, honestly, for this one, you give me one spot. I don't need to get super involved, because they don't need me to get super involved, right? You can do what you need to do. I'll still be active outside, and I will still be like, I mean, by the end of a match, I'm just as out of breath as everybody else. So I'm running around. I'm doing a whole bunch of shit. I'm talking shit. Like, if I'm just standing in a corner, something is wrong. I'm not doing my job.
Yeah. Honestly, hyping a crowd is way more exhausting than people give it credit for. Because I work with a lot of I do a lot of freelance gigs with like DJs and stuff, where like they'll be like, cool, I need a hype man. Do you want to just get on a mic and tell people to put the hands up and jump and like get them dancing and shit like that? And like, I will, at 10 minutes, 15 minutes of hyping a crew like that up, I'm like drenched in fucking sweat, dude. And I'm not even doing like the bulk of the dancing. I'm just like hollering at people. But it looks like I ran a goddamn marathon.
God, my jacket is all these like giant plastic sequins, and it is so hot. It's both
hot and temperature hot, because it looks fire. Like, it's a dope ass outfit.
Thank you. I was very proud of my look, and what I want to be able to do is like establish myself with this iconic sort of profile. I've got the jacket, I got the mohawk. Cool. As soon as I start getting some momentum, I want to start dabbling in like other jackets and like other colors for my hair, and just like, I got the template. That's what you know me as. But also I want to come out with this faux bright green leather with like these giant arms, just like total fashion forward. Just, it's all about the spectacle for me.
Oh, hell yeah.
What inspired that look?
So I saw a jacket that was similar, and then I was like, I can make something like that. So I got just a shit ton of sequins that just like these giant, multicolored, and created this jacket. Basically just like ripped this idea that I had already seen, but put it together myself, because I'm very much.
I was going to ask, did you made it yourself?
Yeah, because that's a really cool looking jacket.
Yeah, Ron's looking at it right now on his phone.
It's like definitely a DIY for sure.
That's cool as shit.
And that's my whole deal. So my moniker is the woman of 1,000 talents, because I've got that whole jack of all trades, master of none thing happening. I just keep flitting from thing to thing.
We love it.
I got the acting, I got the dancing, I got the, making shit out of nothing. I've got the arts. I bought some drums during the height of the pandemic that I never actually learned how to play, but I also still kept them, because eventually I'll learn how to play them. Why not?
You know what's super funny? I have a guitar in my living room for the exact same reason.
See, so there's just, I have so many interests, and I want to be able to do them all. And now I'm in a position where I'm like, all right, how can I use this for wrestling? I mean, I'm not going to be like bringing out a drum set to the wrestling ring, but I could be sitting at a drum set and do something while I'm cutting a promo, make it a little bit more interesting.
Bring the drumsticks as a prop, maybe start banging them on one of the wrestlers while they're distracted. Get some 808 vibes going.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I've got a sock puppet that I made for American Maniacs that I now want to start using in promos, just to like give a little bit of like whimsy and a little bit of like, what the hell?
The quirky shit.
The quirky shit, the kooky shit. That's the other thing too, is that like me as a manager, so the guys in the ring are serious competitors, and they are. I mean, they have their own goofy streak, right? Like you got to be a little bit goofy to do wrestling, even if you're like a monster man. It's a goofy thing that we're doing.
You're a goofy monster man.
So you've got to have like a little bit of that. I love the goofy monster men. So you got to be like a little bit understanding of like what kind of business you're in and not take yourself too seriously. But these matches do get really serious. And some of these stories are like deadly serious. And they're based in some real stuff. And we're telling some dramatic stories here. And so there's sometimes that like, we don't necessarily want my guys to just be like out there cracking jokes. We want people to take them seriously because we want to go after some titles. We want to go after some championships. And if we're just like this like goofy comedy group, you're not going to be taken as seriously to be the face of a company, right? But what we can do is I can be that clown that is goofy and keeping the real young kids that don't understand the stakes, right? Keeping them engaged because I'm flashy and I'm interesting and
You're fun to watch. You're fun to engage
woman with a
with.
mohawk and they've never seen that before. Yeah, and I can be, or like I can take a hit. I can take some. I can be the chicken shit on the outside. And the guys in the ring look so much more strong because
you're playing the opposite. It's like you're complementing their persona and making their image and their characters so much more heightened because you're playing almost the polar opposite and kind of setting that foundation of like, oh, here's who I am. It complements who they are. That's fucking cool, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're literally an actor at this point.
I mean, it's funny because it kind of sounds like it is like something. So I have a buddy of mine that I work with because I host game shows for private parties. That's my evening job. We have like television. We have like television style like sets that we like private parties can book out. And we like literally like play out their game show fantasies. But I have a friend that I work with who's like starting down this journey into pro wrestling. He's a big pro wrestling fan and stuff. And I think he decided like a couple months ago that he wanted to I'm going to really try this out and give it a try. I have a quick question about the education side of things, because we talked a little bit about it already. It seems like you sought out a very accredited pro wrestling like school, a physical school to go pursue this in. Is that like the ideal way? Is that the only way to really go about it? The reason I ask is my friend, it seems like he's doing a little bit of a hybrid thing where like he's doing like some stuff that is physical, like in person, some stuff that's kind of virtual. And I'm just kind of curious, like what the different types of educations for pro wrestling look like, and if people should be weary of one versus the other or some stuff like that,
Yeah, okay. This is a big question, and I'm really glad you asked it because there's not like an accreditation. Like you can't look up like these are the schools that are legit. Like you got to do some digging, and a lot of what pro wrestling is, it's a kind of its own secret society. Like it runs, like people think they know what's going on with wrestling, and they don't know. There's still a lot that is behind the curtain, sure. And it should be. And it's what keeps the magic alive, and it's what keeps it sort of interesting. It keeps people wanting more, right? So you do have to do a bit of digging. Mostly if you're looking for like a wrestling school that is like worth their salt, you look at who the trainers are, what kind of work they've done. Because most of the time the trainers are either current wrestlers or former wrestlers, who've taken a step back, but
some
can
good
still go in
accolades
the
to
ring.
Their name and stuff, like accredited individuals.
Right. And like I was looking at the alumni from IWC, and like they were like currently working at AEW. They were active. I think when I started, Britt Baker was the current women's world champion for AEW, and she's an alumni from IWC. She trained there, so I was like, oh shit, top women's talent in one of the top companies in the world train there. Okay, great. And I love Pittsburgh. Luke's family lives here. So we're like, no brainer. We got to go to Pittsburgh. But there's other ones in the country. Like you've got to find, Cody Rhodes has a training facility down in Texas, or is it Texas or Florida. I don't know. I think his brother also, Dustin Rhodes has a training facility. So like, look for the training facilities where the trainers themselves are legit. But there are some folks who do what we call backyard wrestling, and that's a little bit more like
Ron might be an expert in backyard wrestling.
I guess the nice way of saying it is that is a holistic approach, but I do not recommend it to anybody actually looking to be a professional wrestler. Backyard wrestling can be a lot of fun, and it can be a good way to like sort of try some shit out and see like, oh, do I want to like actually do this?
Kind of test the
waters. But if you are serious
bit.
about being a professional, yeah, and just see like, do I feel good about jumping off of this rope and falling, 6 feet onto the flat of my back? Does that feel good to me? And if it does, then seek out an actual training facility. Because
we're all gonna try this after the pod, guys. We're gonna jump off my balcony on my alley, land on our backs, and we're gonna ask ourselves, did we like that? How did we feel?
ER by the end
Scale of 1 to 10. Do we recommend?
When it comes to the professional side of things, so obviously there's like WWE, like that's the super big one.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other professional avenues that you could go to, like that are maybe not as big, but like?
Yep. So there's quite a few what we would call like challenger brands. Everybody who knows WWE because they've dominated forever, and they spent a lot of time just being at the top. But there's also All Elite Wrestling. AEW is like just as top tier. Like Personally, I like the AEW product a lot better than WWE. There's wrestlers that I really like. There's some work being done over in WWE that's really good, that speaks to me. But personally, my vibe and my aesthetic is a lot more in line with what AEW is doing. But there's also TNA Wrestling, also known as Impact for a little bit, but originally they were TNA. There's Ring of Honor is another big like standard in the industry. But then there's some like lucha companies. There's AAA and CMLL are more like down in Mexico, and they are like lucha libre style wrestling.
Honestly, lucha libre is like my fucking dream, dude. I would love, dude. I missed the bus on that. I should have jumped on that lucha libre shit back when I was super.
You didn't miss the bus. You can do it anytime.
Betty, you're absolutely fucking right, Betty. You goddamn enabler. I'm gonna look that up after this. Your boy getting his lucha libre fucking going.
There's Japanese wrestling is also huge. New Japan Pro Wrestling is one of the biggest companies in the world. And a ton of people who are working in the US have also worked over there, and like vice versa. There's a lot of relationships too. So there's a lot of big companies that are producing like pay-per-views and television products. But then there's sort of like there's like tiers down. So then you've also got some indie wrestling that they might not have a television contract, but they do their own streaming, or they do like our company, IWC. We've got a relationship with 2-to-1 Media where they film all of our shows. They're part of the production. And so we've got a streaming service on our website and through 2-to-1 so that you can either subscribe. And so like you can watch our shows monthly through streaming, or you can go to the shows live. So most companies, if they've got a little bit of scratch, they will also have some sort of like relationship with like a streaming service, or I think Indie Wrestling Network is another one that like streams a lot of indie wrestling. So you can find it whether you're actually in that town or not. But then like sort of on another level from there, you've got wrestling that's just like a local promotion. It's like local wrestler or a guy who's just like loved this for forever, and there's nothing to do in the town, and he's got a ring and he knows some guys in the business, and they like, promote wrestling for that community. Like there's one company I've worked for, and like the town itself, there's literally a sandwich shop and there's nothing else happening in that town. It's like in the middle of West Virginia, and it's just like, what else is there to do but do some good wrestling? So shows like that are really fun because you're in this like this defunct gymnasium for some like grade school, and the entire
awesome.
town is coming in to see that show because there's nothing else to do.
Yo, all the kids in the hood
their
are just like,
time.
yo, we're going to the elementary school to see some pro wrestling in the gym. Let's go. That's a Friday night.
Right. But like, yeah, but you still have to deliver a good show, because otherwise you've just got like an entire town of people who spent their hard-earned money to see your show. And if you don't do well, they're not going to want to come to the next one. And then all of a sudden there's no promotion there anymore.
Yeah, you ain't got no business.
One less show that you have a chance to like work at. You know, we want more wrestling. So we want the shows we put on to be good enough to bring back to do more wrestling.
You know, I said the gym thing to talk shit, but also like I shouldn't talk shit, because that is actually like the first and only pro wrestling event I'd ever saw was on Cinco de Mayo at this little janky Mexican restaurant in my small hometown. And it was the coolest fucking shit. Awesome. Shout out to that little taco shop on Callow in Bremerton, Washington. That's where your boy saw his first Lucha Libre event. And honestly, fucking cool as shit. Peak memory in my brain. So no offense to the kids who go to the elementary school to see pro wrestling. You're loved here.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's some like weird ass venues. Like, so you've got like, you know, you've got the big companies that are selling out these giant stadiums, like these historic stadiums, right? And then you're going down to like, oh, there's these like cool halls that are doing it. And then you've got promotions that are running out of these like bars or like a VFW or a gymnasium, and you got some that are just in a parking lot of Buffalo Wild Wings, and sometimes those are the most fun shows.
I mean, shit, pro wrestling and some Wild Wings, baby. What more do you want?
What was your favorite place that you ever went to for an event?
It's so tough. It's so tough to say, partially because like you don't want to get heat with anybody by not mentioning them, right? Like,
so let's say this: if you're listening to this, all of the venues are amazing. However,
amazing,
which one's your favorite?
There's a show called Wrestle Rex that performed at City Winery, which is like, it's a little bit more upscale. I kind of like the bougie places. Like, ooh. If you're running out of a place that can also be like a wedding venue, you get some really cool photos out of that, because you got like the cool lights and they got like a good backdrop. And generally speaking, their dressing rooms are a little nicer than like some of these other venues.
So Betty Frenzy's a bougie bitch, is that's what I'm hearing. She's a little bougie. She got some high class.
There's a chandelier. Here's the thing, it's practical, and here's why. And this is something that like is really important for especially newbies. I'm not in a position yet to really start going after a whole lot of titles or start pushing my guys to start being like the main event all the time, because we're still green. We're still like, we're proving ourselves, right? We're in the place of proving that we can be given bigger and better opportunities. So when I'm going into a show, I'm not necessarily looking to steal the entire show, but I want to take a moment out of there that I can use to have the next time. So like, even if I'm just booked to come out for my guy's entrance and then I'm not even there for the match, I go right back to the back. I want that entrance to have a great look. Like, I want to do something that's iconic in that moment, something that I can either clip to use on socials later, or a photo that I can sell as an 8x10 at the merch stand later. Like, if I'm out there for 5 seconds, but I can do something that both adds to the show and also gives me something that I can use later, then that's great. I've done my job and I've done what I can for the show, and I want to take something from that. And so too, like that builds from there. So then maybe the next show, I'm actually in the show and I can have a spot that, you know, that the cameraman happens to catch the moment that I'm ripping some guy's ear off. And the backdrop of that, you've got the ring in the foreground, and in the background, you've got like a cool lighting or cool aesthetic sort of the venue itself. And it's this like picture perfect moment. Or like if you're outside and it's a really like nice, like blue sky day, you got some like clouds in there, and you've got that up over this visual of like this violence that's happening. And it's like, if you can create like a cool picture or cool moment that is both memorable to the crowd and something that you can put on social media later, or send to a promoter later to be like, look at how cool I look doing this thing in this place. Like, it's all about the full package, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the entire look. So my favorite venue is the one that also adds to that. Right. So it's
tend
the
to be kind of your
production value.
bougier ones.
Yeah. It's the venue. It's the production value. It's the people I'm in the ring with. It's my own aesthetic. Like, I want it to look just so delicious in so many ways. And so, like, those are my favorite.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, Ron, real quick, you're going to have to add this to the list. After the front flips to our back in the alley, ripping ears off. That is our next stunt we're going to be doing in my alley. Ripping ears, dude. We're going to see if Ron and I and Joey really have what it takes.
Hey, one more question in regards to what happens in the ring. What's the craziest thing that you've ever seen? Like, whether it's in the ring or in the stands, jumping on hell from the cell, on the top of a ladder, chairs smashing on people, whatever it is. Like, what's like the biggest thing that comes to mind for that?
You guys are going to love this. So the craziest thing. So one of the wrestlers on our roster, Felix Kaz, he is Kielbasa Mayhem.
Wait, what's his name?
He polkas. And he comes out and he's got an accordion. He's got this whole like Polish mayhem thing happening, right?
Nice. Dude, we love that. Okay.
But he's fierce, and he's like, I mean, he will like destroy you. He's big dude, and he's got a lot of chaotic energy, right? He'll just like smash you apart, but also ton of fun. He did a hardcore match recently, because he was the high stakes champion at our company at IWC. And so like each week it was a different, like you would pull the kielbasa and it would spin this wheel and there would be a different stipulation for the match. So like, you know, it's not just a typical match. There's like something else on it. And
wait,
so like,
so your fate is decided by kielbasa? Or
well,
in a way? I'm
a little bit. In this particular match, it was a hardcore match. So he had kielbasa wrapped in barbed wire, and it was used as a weapon in places you do not want that to be used as a weapon.
Nice.
So
my imagination is like fired off.
it might not be as much of a spectacle as Hell in the Cell. Like that is like God tier, like crazy. I haven't seen quite that crazy yet, but there is something very insane about a kielbasa wrapped in barbed wire, and I don't necessarily want to go up against someone with that kind of mind.
I mean, to be totally honest, I'm all for kielbasa crazy. Like, I'm for it. Like, I won't lie. I feel like I would have a grand time seeing someone fucking kielbasa somebody else. Like, that sounds great.
I mean, as long as it's not me getting kielbasa, I'm fine.
Absolutely.
Honestly,
like, if I ever watch it, yeah.
I'll fall on the sword. I'll get kielbasa for all of us guys. If it just means, if it's for the laugh and for a good time, I will gladly fall on that kielbasa covered sword.
That definitely takes some creativity to come up with that, though.
Yeah, like that's the part that it's like I'm a creative also, as you know there, Betty. But like I'm always so amazed by other people's creative juices and like just the shit that
the ideas that they just come up with.
I come up with some absurd shit, but like sometimes I hear this and I'm just like, I don't know if
next level.
That's some next level absurdity, and I'm just like, that is I live for that. I wish my creativity was that absurd. I just wish. That's fucking cool.
Well, and that's what's so cool about wrestling too, is that you can have these like different elements, and then you're pitting them against each other. So you'll have like one type of creative force going up against a different type of creative force, and then you're like asking a question, who's going to win? And that's the whole game. And it's so much fun to watch. And that's really where I get stuck in, and where I don't necessarily just want to like, I want to have like a whole menagerie of talent. So I've got my tag guys, I've got my big monster man, I've got my top women's like world champion. I've got like, so that when somebody is like, hey, we've got a match coming up, I can be like, yeah, I got a guy, or I got a gal, I got somebody for that, I got you, and I get to manage that talent and get them the opportunity so that they can then go and show off what they're all about. And they can get to the upper echelon. I want to be the one to kind of help. Again, going back to what I was saying before, I want to be their second banana. I want to help them get that laugh and get that, that win, that acclaim, that title, whatever it is they're going for.
Yeah.
I want to be the one that helps them get there.
Dude, real quick, can we play a quick game? Keep this question in mind, Ron, because I know it's a doozy, but I want to play a quick game. Guys, what would our wrestler name be and what would our shtick be?
Oh, dude.
And Kielbasa is off the table. You cannot take Kielbasa.
You can't, no.
While you guys think,
That's
I'll start with
gimmick
mine.
infringement.
I've a long time. I've had an alter ego known as the Horchata King of Chicago, and that would be, I think, my character.
Oh.
That would be my wrestler name. Would be the Horchata King, and I think my shtick would be like before every fight, I literally like funnel horchata in like a beer bong situation, and I funnel a whole thing of horchata to where like all of the like the white ricey cinnamony goodness is like just pouring down my face, and to where I look insane, and then I use the funnel as a weapon in the fight, where like I'm like pretending to strangle people with this funnel, right, with this horchata covered funnel. I think that'd be my shtick. Just pop
That would be excellent, and I want to manage you.
Got it.
I'll be your manager.
I wouldn't want anyone else, Betty. I wouldn't want anyone else to be our manager. I know you guys have thought of this at one point.
Dude, I haven't thought of it. You can go, man.
I don't think I have anything right now either.
Well, then I'll nominate some for you. I already used this in the intro, but Ron, you'd be Captain McThickums, and you'd have a sailor hat but no shirt. You'd have the ascot, like the navy blue ascot sailor hat, no shirt, and you'd start. Your like entrance song would be like an old sailor's hymn, like "Yo ho" as you walk into the ring.
I can like honestly get down with that. I can do that.
And you just have like these super short, like these short boat shorts.
Shorts, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Short white shorts, blue ascot, no shirt, sailor hat, coming into some real like old time piratey music. And
that's pretty in depth.
with a bunch of like fake like tattoos like the anchor and shit.
That,
kind of like Popeye.
I'm thinking like a mix of Popeye and Barnacle Boy.
Okay.
There we go.
From SpongeBob.
Love it.
All right, obviously the Iron Popeye. That's what I'll take.
There we go.
Dude,
Iron
there it is.
Popeye.
I like Iron Popeye.
Dude, Iron Popeye is really good. Like that's
Oh, you could bring
Kudos to
cans
you
of
on that one.
spinach with you into the ring, and you just throw like cans of spinach at
Yeah.
people from outside the ring.
All right, well, now you got two wrestlers to manage because now I convinced myself I want to be a wrestler.
We got the Horchata King and we got Iron
Hell yeah.
Popeye.
look, and Chicago's a
fucking
great
great.
wrestling. Chicago's a great wrestling town. There's a couple of promotions in there that I want to break into, sometime soon, and they've got a couple schools. So
Hey, if you need a connection, I know I still
excited.
have the phone number for my guy Steve Boss from Chicago Style Wrestling. Man, he was a cool dude. I'll give him your number, or I'll give you his
Hell
number.
yeah.
Okay, now Joey. What would his shtick be?
something with his last name because Banghart just is too good to let go.
I see. I'm feeling like with a name like Banghart, because that's actually his last name. We didn't make that up. I thought he was fucking with me for like the
Incredible.
first month I knew him. He was like, "Yeah, I'm Joey Banghart," and I'm just like, "Dude, cool nickname, brother." He's like, "No, it's actually Banghart."
honestly, that's one of those names that there's a lot of wrestlers that do wrestle under their own name because like it's a good name. Like we trained with somebody. His real name, he's actually going under a different name, which I think is a mistake because his name is Ramon Battle. I'm like, come on,
Dude, it's
man.
there.
It's so good.
I think for Joey, what I would go with you, we would use your real name, right? Joey Banghart, but it would be Joey Slappa Da Bass Banghart. And your whole shtick would be like you're part musician and you come to every match with like a bass guitar just on your back. And you would just like come in and you'd use that in your fights. Like you'd come in just rocking out, shredding on a bass guitar as you come in.
Smash it on somebody?
Yeah, and then you would just like smash it on people, dude. It'd be Joey Slappa Da Bass Banghart.
Slapping the bass.
Shout
like
out Jeff
that.
Jarrett on that one. He's got the guitar gimmick, and if you're doing a bass instead as a little homage to Jeff Jarrett, like hell yeah,
Dude, I'm just saying,
I'm gonna have to buy
guys,
myself a bass guitar real soon.
dude. I mean,
For that reason alone.
Hey, dude, I may have sold us on Out of the Rut Pro Wrestling SmackDown. I think I'm totally in. We got the Horchata King, we got Iron Popeye, we got Joey Slappa Da Bass Banghart. That's actually fucking cool. That's actually tight as shit. And using the guitar, he just have a guitar. Again, no shirt, dude. Tight leather pants, looking like an 80s hair metal rocker.
Tight leather pants on.
Tight leather pants.
We could do some like Kiss, some Gene Simmons type makeup as you come in.
Look, tongue hanging out. Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
Now, do those three get the Betty Frenzy stamp of approval?
Oh, absolutely. That's right up my alley.
We're in, dude. We're in, guys. We're shutting the podcast down.
Shutting the podcast down. Pro wrestling.
Yep, guys. Catch us next time. Out of the Rut is over.
Here's the thing. Here's what's great about that is that this is something that is super important for new wrestlers is to have a really strong identity. You got to come in and know exactly who you are, because otherwise you might have the skills in the ring, but if you have a nondescript sort of identity or character, or they don't know your deal, they are either not going to know how to promote you, like how to match you up. Like they're not going to know what to do with you story-wise, or they'll be like, cool, you're good in the ring. We're going to give you a character. And then you're like stuck with this identity that is like, yeah, you can do, but what you really wanted to do was this, this guy over here, but you didn't really present that outward. Like you gotta really be thinking about this. If you're going into pro wrestling, you gotta know, like, who do you want to be in wrestling? What do you want to project to the crowd? What do you want to project to promoters? And like, sometimes doing these like super big characters might seem really fun, but you get caught up in like pretending as opposed to just like digging deep inside and being like, well, this is me turned up to 11. And that's like Betty Frenzy is basically Tori. She's the off the leash version of Tori. Like she's the one that's doing a lot of what's in my brain, but she's doing it out loud and she's doing it out in front of everybody. I
won't lie.
And it's a lot easier.
I've been so inspired by Betty Frenzy in this conversation, guys. I feel like I can see our storyline in my mind's eye. It would be Iron Popeye and Joey Slappa Da Bass Banghart versus the Horchata King. And it would be like this, like, I would be like coming in like with some dictator vibes because I'm the Horchata King. I'd be like, yo, I'm the king. I rule over this shit. And the Iron Popeye and Joey Slappa Da Bass Banghart are like, nah, this is a democracy. We don't rock under dictatorships. You're going down. And then it's like 2v1 in the ring, dude. Like, I see it in my mind's eye, dude. I chug a fucking horchata in the ring. You're throwing spinach at me, and Joey's beating me with a bass guitar. That sounds fucking great.
Sounds like a great intro to be honest.
Yo, if you're listening to this, you better not fucking steal this idea. If I start seeing this, if I see ideas and this popping up, I'm gonna call bullshit. You guys stole it.
Yeah. Just trademark it now.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, we're locking that in. This is an out of the rut original. That'd be fucking cool.
I'm going to Jewel after this and just buying a bunch of canned spinach.
Yeah.
I'm like really gonna get into character. Like, you know how when people play the Joker, they really have to. Yeah, that's gonna be me now. I'm gonna watch Popeye episodes every single day.
Lock yourself in your room.
Get some huge forearms.
Yeah,
dude.
right.
Just exclusively work your forearms.
That's it. Yeah, yep. And I was like, dude, like, what do you do with that can of spinach? Because everywhere I go now, I'm gonna have a can of spinach in my hand.
It's
like your trademark.
Just cut the top of the cap open and just eat it with a spoon out of the can.
Right. Get a tattoo on my shoulder of spinach.
See, I think that's great. Iron Popeye was fucking great.
What are your favorite type of matches? Like, you know, there's like Hell in the Cell and all those kind of things. Like, what's your like one you're like, fuck yeah?
Yeah, like the stipulation is what it's called, like a stipulation match. That's a good question. This is what I love about wrestling is the variety that you can find within it. Like I do love a technical match that's just like two guys grappling and putting each other in holds, and because that's really interesting to watch, but it's also sort of considered a little boring to people who are more casual because it's not as flashy and it's not as like big. So it's kind of like I'm going to be honest. I like the goofier matches that are a little bit more fast paced, that got a little bit more like hijinks on the side. I mean, that's my bread and butter anyway. Like if I'm in a match that can have some like hijinks, that's really where I thrive. But in terms of like watching, oh God, I mean, tag team wrestling is, I think, my favorite to watch. Either tag or like trios matches too can be really fun, where it's 3 versus 3. Because I like the stipulation that like it is just 1v1, but you're tagging in and out, because you can do a lot with that. When you tag your partner, you technically have 5 seconds where you can tag team, you could double team somebody else and like get an advantage, because there's 2 versus 1 for just 5 seconds. You can get away with it. And after that, like you run the risk of the ref, like, calling on your bullshit and feel like you took too much time. Now, are they going to do that? Are they going to stop the match? I don't know. It's up to the ref. 'Cause that's the other thing about wrestling too, is that like these refs, they are probably the most legit part of this, is that like, yeah, your match can be predetermined, but if you don't get your shoulder up in time, the ref is counting to 3. So you could lose.
You could lose the same match you're scripted to win.
Yeah.
You can if you're not on your shit. So like, again, wrestling is quote unquote fake, but it is not.
What happens in that case? Yeah. Like if you're supposed to win and you mess up and you lose,
do you just get laughed at in the community,
or do you just like, hey, look, like one more of these, you're out?
I mean, it depends on the promotion, the promoter, the store. It really just depends, because like sometimes there's extenuating circumstances, like in the ring they will call an audible because maybe one guy got rocked and he's like, I know I'm going to be out because this is going to take some time to fix. And you don't want to, if you fall on your story, of course you don't want to be taking the storylines into your own hands, right? Like you don't necessarily want to be changing stuff when the promoter says, it needs to go a certain way, because then that promoter is not going to bring you back. They want to be able to trust you to tell the story that they have booked, right? Because that sets up for, a lot of times these bookers will have the stories for the entire year sort of like mapped out. So if you change things without their permission, that can screw you over for the rest of the year, because it screws everybody else over for the rest of the year.
Got it.
So you still need to be trusted to do your job. But there are times that like, and if you've got like a production team where like the ref has like an earpiece that's, feeding to the back, promoter might, if somebody gets injured in the ring and the ref is like, hey, so-and-so just got rocked, promoter might just be like, we're calling an audible, take it to the end, like that we're calling this match. You don't necessarily want to stop the match. Like you maybe want to still keep it in storyline. You don't want to necessarily like kill what's happening. Unless it's really bad, like any company worth their salt, if somebody is truly like injured, they will stop the match. They will shut it down so that person is okay. But if there's like a little bit of wiggle room, but they still need to call an audible, they might call an audible. Or if it's like on television where like you can't necessarily stop it, you'll find like it's up to, that's the other thing too. Refs are the hardest role, I think, to have in wrestling, even more so than the wrestlers themselves, because they're being just as physical. Well, not just as physical. They're not as physical as the wrestlers, but they're in there. They are locked in, but they're involved, but they also have to have a mind to production and to what's, especially if you're on TV, they're being told like, we're going to commercial, we're going to this, and they have to communicate that to everybody in the ring, everybody, who's cornering. They've got to like communicate those changes to, or those like markers, or they need to be able to tell the wrestlers like, hey, we gotta go home. Like, we've got to wrap this up. This, 10-minute match now needs to be a 6-minute match. So they're both in the story and outside of the story, and they are like keeping in charge of everything. And then on top of that, the ref is keeping an eye out on the wrestlers and making sure that they can tell the difference between an injury and a work. Like they need to be able to tell, like, are you just selling? Is this just part of the story, or did you get fucking wrecked? And it's up to the ref to be able to call it, whether or not like, yeah, you can continue on, or no, you've got a concussion and you are blacked out right now. And you don't even, you're still moving around, but you are not there. And like the best refs, one of our coaches, Bobby Williams, he was also a ref for the company for a long time. So it was really great having him as a trainer because he also had the experience as the ref and could kind of help us figure out like, what the ref's role is and how we as performers can also like involve the ref and use the ref and learn from the ref and what they're doing. And, he can be able to he can see he's been doing this for so long. If he's reffing a match and somebody gets concussed and they are no longer there, but they're still working off of that muscle memory, he can be the one to be like, oh yeah, you're moving different. You are not taking that move. He can communicate to the other guy in the ring and be like, hey, don't do this move you guys have planned because that's gonna like rock everyone's shit and like that's gonna be bad. Bobby was like, top tier refs. And he's transitioned now. He's doing more like photography, which is also awesome. Like shout out Bobby Williams. Potter is the best just person that you could have in your corner. He knows the wrestling, he knows the reffing, and now he like does the photography and like captures these great moments like outside the ring. And it's just like, shout out Bobby.
Shout out Bobby. Bobby, we love you, Bobby. Out of the Rut loves you, baby. Real quick, what's a good day in your job, like in this job, look like versus what does a bad day look like, or just a day where you're maybe less than you're like, okay, this feels like a job today.
That's a great question. I'm still getting my legs, and sort of getting on top of my nerves of being like, doing what I set out to do and doing it well. I think for me, a really good day is when we go in and we've got an idea of like the story that we want to tell and the connection that we want to have to the crowd. And we go out there and nail it. And we just like, and especially if there's like moments that we can find on the fly that add to it, that give a little bit more of that like razzle dazzle, give a little bit more of that spice, where we can just like find it in the moment because of something that happens either in the ring, out of the ring, a fan says something and we have like a classic rebuttal, just like right off the top, like when we're firing and just like, we've got the right timing with each other and we've got the right timing with the crowd. And then we go to the back and somebody who's been doing this longer says, hey, yeah, you did a great job. I don't really have any notes for you. Or like, I have notes, but it's like, it's very nitpicky. Like I love getting feedback from the guys who have been doing this longer. Cause that's how we learn. That's how we get better. And that's how we show that we're serious about this, is like being able to take that feedback. And so if their feedback is like super specific and they have like both like the good things that they noticed and they notice like the nuanced things that we do, but then they can also give us like feedback on like, here's where you can do like a little bit more or a little bit better for the next time. Like those are the great days. When you go to the back and somebody like doesn't really have an opinion on what you do, that's where it gets tough. Cause you're like, we didn't do enough to like catch your attention.
Yeah, it's almost like you'd rather almost do like badly and get like genuine feedback and some sort of acknowledgement or reaction. Like I don't want to say be bad, but like you want to at least get some sort of like acknowledgement or reaction from the people that you're performing for versus just nothing. I almost feel like nothing. It might be worse.
It works because they don't care about what you did.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't ever want to do badly, but I don't want to be boring. I don't want to like go out there and just do like the safe, boring thing. I want to be able to go out there and take a calculated, risk. I can't even like say, I can't even use that term because that's somebody else's like moniker that they use for their gimmick, because nothing is new anymore. You can't say anything without hitting somebody else's gimmick. But you want to go out there and be able to like actually try something and have somebody be like, I see that you tried this thing. It doesn't work. And here's why. Then have somebody be like, yeah, you didn't really try anything. You just kind of went out there and got your ass kicked. It's like, okay, cool. You don't ever want to go out there and just get your ass kicked.
Yeah, not only did you not make an impression, but you also got your ass kicked. That sucks. 2 for 2.
Right. Yeah.
What's When it comes to like the wrestling and the wrestling management, what's been the toughest part of that grind? Like the traveling, the training, the toll on the body?
Yeah, good question.
Ooh, such a good question. I mean, the grind is tough. The thing is with wrestling, there is so much of it and it is all over. And if you're like really going after it, I've got a friend of mine, he graduated in the class ahead of ours. And so, but he like was basically like our TA for our class and has been really instrumental, to helping us learn more and like working with us, and doing stuff with us on the road. Shout out Cannon Christopher, the most naturally gifted talent in all of professional wrestling.
I'm loving all the shout outs in this episode. So many solid shout outs.
There's so many solid guys that I get to work with. It's great. But he's got a crazy schedule. Like he will drive from, or like he'll catch a ride with like some other wrestler who's like booked on a show. He'll go from like these 10-hour drives to do one show and then drive 10 hours back. Or he'll be in Tennessee one day and then Pittsburgh the next and then Canada the next and then back down to like Ohio. And it's like,
Jesus,
there's like legs of these trips that I'm just like, and if you can do it, it's a great way to get yourself out there. Like he is making some great moves. He's got some like great irons in the fire and it like, he's an inspiration, right?
I mean,
because
you're networking with
work.
so many people at that point. Like,
yeah. And you're getting the reps and you're like, the biggest thing too is to get outside of your home radius. Like you want to have a home base because it's like super helpful, right? To like get, a monthly gig, right? And to be able to work with the same company every month. But if you're just staying in the same area, you're not learning and you're not growing. You've got to be able to go out and travel to other markets and be able to do stuff too that like if I'm known as, this scampy sort of villainous, menacing Betty Frenzy in Pittsburgh because I am a menace and the crowds hate me, I don't want to go half an hour away and try to like win that crowd over and be like their favorite person because likely they've seen me be a menace and they don't buy it. And they're like, no, I know you're a villain. Why am I going to cheer for you?
We can appreciate that same personality.
Yeah, you have to keep the canon alive.
Right.
You got to keep the canon alive. You also don't want to oversaturate yourself in one place because like then you're not special for your main promotion. If I'm working everywhere within a 5-mile radius of my home promotion, they can see me anywhere. Why would they come to my like main place, right? I want to remain a little bit special, but I still want to work every week. So I'm going to go out a little bit farther. I'm going to work in the next town over, the next state over, a couple states over. I'm going to go work in Canada and do something there that I'm not necessarily doing in Pittsburgh because I have the freedom to do so there. And then you learn, you meet other people. I think back to your original question about what's the toughest part, like travel is definitely tough, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's the toughest part. I would say the mental toll and the navigating the politics of wrestling is probably the hardest part that I've had to deal with. Just like the mentally like taxing to be like putting yourself out there at like, and trying to be crystal clear, like what you want to do and what you want to present to the world, but also working with other people and being seen for what you want to do and being like, yeah, I'm going to book you for my show because, you're rad and I think you can add something to this. Like you're still navigating a lot of that like imposter syndrome or like anxiety of like, I'm not as comfortable with this, pairing, or I'm not as comfortable in this setting. I haven't done a whole lot of this. So now I'm like nervous. Like you've got to wrap your mind around like what it is you're doing because it is live and it is in front of people and it's also being recorded and can be used later and it can be found later. So like there is like an immense pressure of just like, I got to get it right. While also still like you're still navigating the egos of a lot of other people and a lot of promotions and actual beefs between people. And like, if you're working over here and they got beef with somebody over here and then you go work over here, are you in the middle of that beef? You got to like sort of suss out what you as a performer are willing to do or not do, depending on the egos of a lot of other people. And that's tough. That's tough. I kind of want everybody to just like get along and, you know, tell the stories they want to tell and be cool with each other. But, you know, sometimes
people suck.
You know, we're doing it live.
Right.
You know, there's that, but some people have legitimate reasons for having beefs, and, you know, but you're not privy to all those details. So you don't want to like get into anybody's business. You just kind of like try to feel it out as best as you can.
Does that beef inside the ring, like, do you ever catch it like leaving the ring? Like, you notice like two people who have beef like cause problems with each other outside of the ring?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, some of these.
I want to know your voice said no, but your eyes said yes.
Here's what I'll say. Any professional wrestler worth their salt will still take care of the other person that they are in the ring with. Like, if you are going out into the ring to actually hurt the person because you got beef with them, you have no business being in this business. You got to be able to separate enough of that like real beef in order to put on a good show and be able to go home afterwards. Even if you don't talk to that person afterwards, like you get done with your match and everybody's safe and sound, you go to the back and you don't talk to them. Great. Fine. You don't have to like everybody that you're working with. But when you are in the ring and when you are like working with somebody actively and you're cutting promos, you don't want to like actually hurt the person or like, or cut a promo and like bring up something that is like off limits and like real shit. You don't.
Yeah. Like your mom's so ugly,
it's
dude.
not fun.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
You're
you got
adopted.
So you might, there's plenty of people that have real beefs, and you're not necessarily going to be able to tell which one is which. And that's the magic, you know,
Yeah,
when you're going to a
if
wrestling
you notice
show,
it in the ring, like
take it all. I don't think that's something that like, if you're going to a show, you shouldn't be able to tell if it's real or fake. You should be able to like sit there and be like, oh shit, I think this is real. Yeah. Like, that's the goal. You want people to question and be like, oh shit, I think this is real.
Iron Popeye.
That's where that magic
pissed.
happens.
Iron Popeye.
Yeah.
He's coming for
You don't want to be
King.
tipping. You don't want to be tipping your hands, because then like, why do we care that these people are fighting if we know that they're actually best friends?
Right, yeah. That makes sense.
They're spooning each other in the locker room. No, you want that real beef, man. So we're kind of shifting gears from out into the from the wrestling into a little bit of like the business side of things, like because you're still green into the world, or what was it? Green as goose shit, I believe was the phrase you used.
Yep.
I'm going to adopt
Is
that.
even green though?
Yes, actually, fun fact: goose shit does have a hint of green to it.
Why do you
it
know?
does.
Never mind. We all
Don't
know
ask
fun
questions
facts.
you don't want the answers
Exactly.
to, brother.
Joey over here, dude, every conversation I have with this guy just comes up with the most, I don't know, like the craziest facts you would never even realize. Or like, he knows so much shit about everything. Like, like I went to Kohl's today. Oh, did you know Kohl's came from? And it's like, where did you get that information?
Maybe that's his pro wrestler character. He's just a fun fat guru, and
Yeah.
you submit to him winning because you're just so bored by his fun facts. Just kidding. He's like,
so
fuck,
many
you
of
win.
them. It's like,
No
no matter
more.
what you talk to him about, he knows shit about everything. Like, he knows like the history of everything. Is wild.
My only fun fact to you, and then I'll ask my actual question there, Betty. Do you guys know the beverage Starry?
No.
It's like Sprite. Starry?
Yes.
Sprite. Do you know why it's called Starry?
Yeah.
Because the person, Starry is actually just Sierra Mist. If you've noticed, you can't buy Sierra Mist anywhere.
Oh, that's right.
Because
Yeah,
the
they got rid of
person, when the Sierra Mist moniker was up to be paid for again by the company, they lost to a woman named Sierra Mist, who bought the name of the drink. So they couldn't call it Sierra Mist
basically
anymore.
patented it in a way?
She patented it for herself. So now they have to call it Starry.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just Sierra Mist.
Awesome.
Yeah. Shout out to Sierra Mist, the person.
Right? It's like, hey, look, I know you've been doing this, but like, you.
Yeah, but go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
This is my name.
Yeah, see, that's my name.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so that's why you don't see
That's
Sierra
my
Mist
favorite
anymore.
fun fact.
But anyway, to my actual question, because you're green into the world, you might not have a lot of information on this, but I'm kind of curious. At what point does like being a wrestling manager or being a pro wrestler, when does it become lucrative in terms of like you start making money doing this? Because like, again, I think people go into it thinking like, oh, it's so easy. I do this, and then I get paid. And it's like, there's a lot of nuances to this shit as.
Oh my God. There's there's a joke in indie wrestling that's not a joke, but it is, but it's not.
Sure.
That you get paid with a hot dog and a handshake. And that's, whatever concessions are left over at the end of the night and a handshake.
Honestly, for a lot of people, that is good enough.
It's you know what? And look, I have had some great chicken fingers at the end of the night when there's nothing else to eat and that's all we got. Great. But I still want to get paid, here's what I'll say it's getting paid in wrestling. If you're looking to make money in any business, do not get into professional wrestling. You should be, if you're going to make it in professional wrestling, you're doing it for the love of the game, not for money, because you're not going to make any.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the short answer. The longer answer is the more you work up to getting more money. So you can start raising your own rate. The more you work, the more you can go to a promoter and be like, I won't work for less than whatever this is. Yeah. But you've got to have the reputation and the work ethic behind you. You got to have.
You can't just be some Joe Schmo off the street being like, yo, give me $1,000 to wrestle.
And be like, yeah, my rate is 500. It's be like, who are you? You got to be able to like, a promoter needs to know that like you are going to bring in the amount of people that are going to like basically warrant giving you that rate. Mm-hmm. Right. So like a lot of indies, like you're starting with $20, 30, 40, depending on where you're at. Like, and you know what? If all you're doing is getting paid $20 to have an entrance, great. Like you just made a lot of money to do nothing or do very little. And like, that's cool. But sometimes you're getting that same rate while having like a fucking like 10-minute tag match and you're running around and you're doing a bunch of shit. So like, it depends on how long you've been in the business, how much work you've put in, depends on the promoter. Some promoters are a lot better than others and they have the means to be able to pay a little bit more. So it really is like you're sort of, if you're just relying on the promoters to make your money, you're not taking advantage of the whole business. Most wrestlers are making their money off of merch on the indies.
That's good to know, actually. That's huge to know.
If you are not contracted with any company, you're making your money based on merch. But you don't sell merch unless you're going to show after show and getting a following around people. Or if you have like really fire merch, they might not know who you are, but they're like, that's a sick t-shirt. I want that t-shirt, but you do, so the wrestling goes hand in hand. You're not going to sell merch if you're not a good wrestler, but also you could be like the best wrestler and you might not be making enough money if you're not also taking advantage of merch sales. So that's the biggest thing. Like you got to go out there and promote yourself and you've got to sell shit and you got to be kind of carny about it too. And like go out to your merch table and be like, hey, I got t-shirts here.
Yo, you want this iron Popeye muscle tank. You want it.
Yeah. You got to start like that's where you're not just hyping up your, the person that you're managing, that's where you get to hype up yourself.
A signed bass by Joey Slappa Da Bass Banghart. Maybe a horchata funnel from the Horchata King. Got to make sure your shit's good.
Yeah. So you gotta get creative. There's other things you can do too, sort of behind the scenes. There's some wrestlers who make merch. So they'll like draw designs for other wrestlers and kind of like if you've got a good relationship, you can maybe like trade for trade. Or, give what they call the brother rate, sort of give a little discount if you've trained together. Or you can just outright be like, yeah, I will edit your promo for you. It's $20. or it's whatever it is, however much it's going to be,
Yeah.
So you can sort of develop other skills that you can sort of sell to other people within the business or other people that, that you have relationships with through this to sort of be versatile and be multi-talented, and be able to do a little bit of everything. Because then once you do that, once you get to a point where you are a draw for a company, they are willing to bring you in at a certain rate because you can get that many butts and seats and get those people coming in and coming back to the show. And you are making money at a merch stand. Chances are you're on your way to getting a contract with another company. So one of these bigger television contracts where that's a little bit more of like a stable thing. And it still depends on the company, and you might not be making a whole lot on your first contract. And especially after you account for taxes and health insurance and injuries and the protein powder and the food that you got to eat to maintain the physique for the thing, all of the glitz and glam, the stuff, buying your gear, all of the cost around being a professional wrestler, even with a contract that's like, you're still coming out zero, you're not making a profit yet. So like, you got to be able to do it for the love of the game and for the love of the drive, and just doing a little bit better each time, a little bit better.
It's very similar with bodybuilding too. It's like, you really have to want to do it because it costs a lot. When you're paying for a coach, you're paying for the supplements, you're paying for the food, the 6 meals you have to eat every day. Like you're paying for the shows that you have to do, getting your card. So it's like, it's very similar.
Yeah, and like it seems like that's kind of true. Like about most fields, is like you have to go in for the love of it, and like if it becomes lucrative from there, like your passion is going to be what drives the lucrativeness of those fields. If you go into it being like, hey, I want to be a pro wrestler because I want to make bank, you'll probably never make bank.
Right, because that's all you're looking for. You don't care about it. You're not going to be passionate to like drive yourself to do all things that's going to be required to get to the point you need to.
Money is a pretty finicky motivation at the end of the day. Yeah. At the end of the day. But I know we are getting close to time, but I want to open it up to the gents. Any last minute questions, remarks, friendship related things for our girl Betty Frenzy?
Myself, I'm a fitness coach and trainer, and so you're talking about how much involvement there is with trainers and wrestler. Like a lot of these guys are in obviously very good physical shape. What is kind of like the training requirements that goes into that outside of the theatrical aspect of it too, that goes into their character?
Yeah, this is a great question. I'm glad we're touching on this. Taking care of your body is paramount to being a professional wrestler, and it's paramount to being a manager and being able to safely execute these moves. Both, keep yourself safe, keep everybody else in the ring safe. Like you've got to be on point with your fitness. You don't necessarily need to look like a big body guy. Now, does it help because a lot of promoters love that look? Yes, absolutely. But you can be a skinny guy who can do a lot of like flips or, technical stuff, or you throw yourself around and get caught by people. Like you don't have to be the big beefy dude anymore to be a good professional wrestler.
Nice.
But you do have to have strong physical fitness. The biggest things that I would say focus on, like because this is something that me and Luke did before we went to training. We were like, we're going to get some personal trainers or join a gym that has like good professional, good trainers, a good training program. Shout out Faster Fitness. They are our gym where we do all of our training. Yeah. And they've been great. They've got us, they tailored our training so that we could do the things that we need to do in the ring. So that's focusing on, of course, cardio, of course, strength training, not just the arms. You got to get the legs, but more than anything else.
I'm just kidding.
Mobility.
Ron hits leg day.
I hit leg day twice a week, actually. Okay. That's actually the hardest day I go. Okay.
Oh, damn.
I don't want chicken legs.
You know what? Put me in my place, Iron Popeye. Put me in my place.
That's what makes them Iron Popeye. The Popeye is the arms, but the iron is the leg.
Is them thighs, dude.
Iron thighs. That's the new name.
Iron thigh Popeye, bro. It rhymes. I love it.
Iron thighs.
Popeye's iron thighs.
Let's go. I love this.
Yeah. So biggest outside of those, of course, mobility is huge. You don't want your joints snapping when you're like jumping in the ring, right? Like you got to be able to be a solid base for someone and be able to like hold somebody else's weight if needed. So you've got to have that solid base. You got to have good balance, because a lot of these rings are like, you don't necessarily know how thick those boards are or that mat is, or maybe there's a crack in one of them. Maybe something goes wrong, and like you got to be able to, you don't want to snap an ankle on that. You've got to have like a good solid footing, good balance. And plyometrics is another one that we really work out, and being able to jump and land, and because you got to be able to jump up onto the ring, jump off of the ring, jump out of the ring, jump onto people, and run up these steps, run around the ring. Like there's so much outside of just the strength that you've got to be able to do, and you've got to be able to do well, so that you're not like face planting. So that's huge. The one other thing that I'll say, like cardio anywhere else is not going to help you with in-ring cardio. In-ring cardio is its own beast. So the other part of training is that you can't just be going to the gym and doing, HIIT workouts or, cardio boxing. That's all really good. And that's good stuff that you should be folding into your like fitness regime, like regimen. But if you're not also going to the ring and continuing training, like going to like an open ring or going to seminars or continuing your training even after you've debuted, or even just like working, like going to shows and working, before a show that you're booked on, get in the ring and like work out some shit that you haven't done before or haven't done in a while, doing like blow up drills. Like in-ring cardio is the hugest thing. And you're not going to get that if you're not actually continuing your training in the ring, even if you've already debuted.
Nice. Dude.
So you gotta be well-rounded overall.
Very rigorous. Sounds like hell yeah, dude.
It was really cool
Dude,
to hear all that stuff.
This is so much fun.
Yeah, this is great.
Betty Frenzy, what is the biggest advice, or what's like the most important piece of advice that you're giving them if you only had to pick one?
Get a therapist.
Nice. We love therapy here at Out of the Rut.
All right. Just all around like physical therapy.
Just the word alone.
All of it, yeah.
It's a great word. We love it.
Yeah. Look, and what I'll say, like we've already touched on the, you got to be trained. You got to find a good training school, someone who's reputable, and you got to learn the business and be able to respect the history, but also like bring in, your fresh takes and all of that, but while still being, a good worker and being able to work with anybody and put on a good show. You got to like have the body stuff, and you got to be fit. You got to have like good nutrition so that you're not getting sick. So you could still go out and make your dates, right? Like all of that stuff is sort of like, I feel like most people going into this know that you've got to work out, you've got to do these other things. I think not enough people realize that like being in therapy or like doing any kind of like mindfulness work, even if you can't afford a therapist, but if you're doing any sort of like emotional regulation for yourself and mental regulation, that's going to be huge, because this business is really hard, and it's really hard on you personally because you are putting yourself out there, and nobody else, like you can find people that are like going to help you and going to work with you, but your career is not their career. Your success is not like their lives are not affected whether you are a success or not. They can go on to the next thing because they're worried about themselves. You got to worry about yourself, and you've got to take care of yourself and your needs and your mental state. If you've got some like imposter syndrome about should I actually be doing this, that can take a hit if you don't get booked on the next show, or if you mess up something in the ring and you're like really focused on it and you can't get back into the match, that's going to tank the match. You got to be able to like lock in and not be as affected by these like negative things, because you can't control the negative things that are coming at you. All you can handle is your reaction to it and your response to it. And if your response to it is wild and erratic, or you're taking it out on yourself, or you're taking it out on others, that's not good. And if that's something, and you might think like, oh, I think I can handle it. I would just advise that maybe you can't, or maybe get ahead of it before it gets on top of you, because it can get on top of you very quickly. Wrestling does not stop. Like, you got to be able to recognize in your moment, like, do I need to take a break, or do I need to have, go on vacation instead of doing this stretch of shows? Wrestling will always be there. You can always get back into it at any point. But you need to be able to take care of yourself as well. And if seeing a therapist will help you do that, awesome, do it. If mindfulness is going to help you do that, awesome, do it. But like, you can't just go into this like full steam ahead if your mind and your heart are not right, because it's going to eat you up, or you're going to eat somebody else up, and that's not good either.
Dude,
it's got to be a full commitment.
Mm-hmm. No eating anybody. All right, shameless plug time there, Betty Frenzy. If any of our listeners had questions for you, wanted to see a match that you're featured in, how would they look you up? How would they follow you? Give us that shameless plug.
Yes, so I am Betty Frenzy, the woman of 1,000 talents and weaponized chaos for the upper class. My home promotion is IWC, International Wrestling Cartel. If you're in the Pittsburgh area or one of the surrounding states, I'd highly recommend going to one of their shows in person. We perform out of the Marx's Court Time in Elizabeth, PA. Our next show is going to be on October 4th. But we also have online streaming at the IWC network, so you can find that online there. You can follow them at IWC, or you can follow me at Betty Frenzy. I'm on BlueSky, Instagram, and Facebook. But I'm also popping up everywhere else. Like, I'm looking to travel. I'm looking to find things. So like, I'm putting over my home promotion, but there's a lot of other companies, a lot of great companies that I've worked for and that I will be working for again. And, in order to find those, you got to go to my social media. You will find all of those links, those promos, those match graphics, and everything will be there.
Hey, lovely. And as always, listeners, please feel free to follow us at Out of the Rut Podcast on Instagram. We have it Out of the Rut on Facebook. Follow us there. Message us any ruts that you have, any suggestions you have for people to interview. We want to make sure we deliver some top-notch content, and we interview people that you are interested in us interviewing. Thank you so much for joining us in Out of the Rut. I am the Horchata King.
Iron Popeye.
I'm Joey Slappa Da Bass, Banghart.
And this has been another episode of Out of the Rut. Y'all stay lit, never quit. We'll see you next Tuesday. Blah!